Shit, that's savage.
Clegane in his angsty teenage years.
Ah, your brother is a stupid cunt. Your brother is a stupid cunt. Your brother is a stupid cunt. I'm ready. Heyo, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler review podcast of George R.R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire series, starting with the Game of Thrones. As always, I am Zach, and sitting here with me is my indomitable host, Nate.
Boom.
Yeah,
and not displeased with your intro.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to give
like
a sweet adjective before introducing you, so I thought that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
We like to read Game of Thrones here and then talk about it, discuss it, analyze it.
Full spoiler. Dumbledore dies.
We've done that joke already.
But this is for...
We can't recycle content.
All right.
Anyway.
That was poor form.
Poor choice.
Yeah.
Poor choice of spoilers to give away. Darth Vader's Luke's father.
Yeah, that's the common knowledge, though.
Whoa.
That's common knowledge. Like, I'm pretty sure now babies come out born knowing Vader is Luke's dad. Holy shit.
Oh, shit.
I didn't know I even get notifications.
That's
there.
your fucking last chance, so.
Apparently.
Anyway, last episode, I almost said last week.
You almost did.
Last episode, we read Sansa 5, and Sansa was joining the first court session of Joffrey, King Joffrey's new rule and reign. And it was pretty much what we would expect from it. A lot of bullshit and sort of pretending that things aren't the way they are and acting like everything's okay.
Yeah, so we got the decrees from Pycelle that all of the lords, basically, that are opposing Joffrey right now are to come and swear fealty.
Walls.
We also hear that Janos Slynt has been promoted, and he's been made a lord.
Frog
and
cunt.
He is now the Lord of Harrenhal.
Dumb bitch.
And he's on the small council.
Little pussy.
Fucking Zach does not like Slynt.
I hate Janos
Great.
Slynt.
Everyone should. Then Barry the Bold was dismissed.
Yeah, and it was bullshit. He was told he'd be given a stout by Tywin Lannister, by Tywin Lannister, given a stout keep by the sea with some land and some men
a hall to die in and men to bury.
Absolutely badassly refused to deal with that shit.
So we know that Barry the Bold is now going undercover, incognito, into King's Landing, down into the shit parts of that.
Yeah, Joffrey ordered him seized. He didn't like the way he was talking about Stannis and everything and claimed, maybe he's making some ploys with my uncle. But we know no one fucks with Sir Barristan, so he's going to sneak back into the city, which they'd never expect, and then make his way to the Free Cities. But because we were kind of recording a little quickly, we didn't get all the inductees that were sent in onto the Sansa episode, so we'd like to read some now. So we heard from the Not So Silent sisters, and the rumors of their demise were unfounded.
Yes.
Which...
we lost our shit.
Cheeky.
Spectacular.
So for Sansa, for this chapter, Unsept to Brandy, we'll be inducting the irrepressible Sir Barristan Selmy, the Bold, for his honor, wisdom, and strength of character, but I spit on your pity. Even now I could cut through the five of you as easy as a dagger cuts cheese. You tell those fuckers, Barry. He delivers a hell of a parting speech, pinching every nerve he can. Mic drops and strides out of the hall like the boss he is. God's love you, Barristan. And so I believe.
So
did someone induct him? I know I inducted the Hound, and you inducted.
Maybe it was Barry. I don't know. I don't keep track of these things.
But anyway, that's a great one because that it's just so fucked up to see.
Probably
the way they all shit on him and the Kingsguard last. So Barristan the Bold, great inductee by the Not So Silent sisters.
Thank you so much for writing in as always.
And they have another one for today's chapter, which we'll read at the end.
So we also have another inductee for Sansa 5 that was just a little bit late. You just missed it by like a hair.
Just missed it barely, but we'll
sneak
it in.
From our friend in France, Julian. What up, Julian?
What up, Julian?
And so he did say he hopes he's not too late because he's busy as a bee and heard we were going to go fast. You were too late. But you stay busy, man. Do your shit. We'll read them out. No worries. And so for Sansa 5, he brings in also Barry the Bold.
Hey, there we go.
His note on that one, he should have cut the cake.
Even now I could cut through the five of you like carving a cake.
But in the books, remember, it's cheese.
It's cheese, but
cake
that's
is a show. But I do love
really
Barry in the show.
I love the show one.
And Zach actually commented after we recorded that episode that he actually likes the cake line.
I do. I just honestly, I feel like it's easier to cut through cake than cheese. So like, it just makes it seem more insulting to compare them to a pastry. Like essentially, you know, like it just seems softer to me. So it feels more insulting, more powerful, and like you're like, yeah, this motherfucker would slice them up good. Like I'd want a slice of that cake. I bet that's some good cake.
So Julian also has an inductee for Ned, and we will get to that at the end, as always. Thank you for writing in, Julian.
So yeah, Sansa's chapter there wrapped up with her promising that Ned Stark would come and confess to his treasons, his vile treasons, and beg mercy. And Sansa swears that he will, oh, he will. And so, ladies and gentlemen, for the very last time on this podcast, we are covering
a Ned
Eddard
point
Stark.
of view.
Eddard 15, the last chapter for Lord Eddard Stark before his untimely demise in a few more chapters. It begins with the fact that the straw on the floor reeks of urine. There were no windows, no bed, and not even a slop bucket. He remembered glimpses of a door when he was dragged in here in the red walls, but once the door was shut, he saw no more. The darkness was absolute. He had as well be blind.
Yeah. And it was just that, like this. So this chapter is very straightforward. But there's a lot of because of the foreshadowing.
Ned Stark is in the Red Cells beneath the Red Keep.
He's been taken captive.
Yeah, and it's shit. These cells are among legend as one of the worst prisons to be in. It's just so dark. They're so deep. Men have been known to go mad or insane or disappear and all sorts of creepy shit. So, yeah, you're just locked in darkness with your own thoughts, and it slowly works on you. And Ned, who we know is injured with his broken leg, is really struggling.
Fevering, I'm
having
sure.
a hard time.
And so that brings his mind to his time with Robert in the crypts of Winterfell.
He thinks that he had as well be blind or dead and buried with his king. And so he's feeling that sort of suffocation of this darkness. And
now, I think it's neat that the Stark thinking, when he's dead, he needs to be dead and buried with his king, but then he immediately thinks of the crypts of Winterfell. Mm-hmm. He thinks of his death and the crypts of Winterfell. Like, it's just that
inherently tied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he begins to think of Robert while his leg is throbbing, and he remembers Robert's jest in the crypt of Winterfell. The kings of winter looking on with their cold stone eyes. The king eats and the hand takes the shit, Robert had said, but he had gotten it wrong. The king dies, and the hand is buried.
Fucking love that line.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it's accurate.
That's it. The king was killed. In this scenario, the king was killed, and the hand was blamed for it. The hand is buried by this death. It's all encompassing. So
yeah. So
God, it's just such a good one.
Yeah, he has a fleeting thought about Maegor the Cruel, who created. He had the castle built. The Red Keep was built by Maegor the Cruel, not personally, but he had all the laborers who worked or did anything on the Red Keep murdered to hide all the secrets. He wanted nobody but himself.
I'd like to imagine that, like, Maegor didn't initially start out as Maegor the Cruel, because who'd want to go to work for that guy? So, like, at first he was, like, Maegor the Cool. And he's, like, like, on lunch breaks, they're all, like, doing shots of Milk of the Poppy and shit, getting a little freaky on work and shit. And then when it was completed, he was like, fucker's dead. And then he was like, Maegor the Cruel the whole time.
Gotcha.
Not cool no more.
But he spells it like King Cruel.
Oh, yeah.
Donkey Kong
Hell yeah,
with the
he
KR. Oh, fucking asshole.
Maegor. So, yeah, Ned thinks that, so he killed all the Masons so that they would never reveal the secrets of the Red Keep.
Yeah, and Ned damns everybody.
Fuck them all.
Including
Littlefinger, Janos Slynt, the Gold Cloaks, the Queen, the Kingslayer,
Old
Barry Bitch, Pycelle, Varys, Sir Barristan, even Lord Renly, who ran when he was needed most. Yet, he blamed himself worst of all. Fool, he cries out to the darkness.
Thrice damned fool.
Just like that thrice damned she-wolf.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about the thrice
And it says that Cersei Lannister's face seemed to float before him in the darkness, her hair full of sunlight, but her smile full of mockery. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die, she whispered. Ned played and lost, and his men paid for his folly with their life's blood.
I just really like that the only light he's seeing
Is the sunlight of Cersei.
the sunlight of Cersei's hair. And it's, clearly hallucinatory. There's not actually a floating head there. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows with the fucking Red Keep. I hope not. There's not odds down there.
I'm pretty sure that it's just him hallucinating. And it's just funny, that contrast of you're losing your mind and the only sanity you want is that light. The only light you're getting is fucking Cersei.
And then again, we've paid a lot of attention to the lighting around Cersei.
Right.
So it's another... And it says that thinking of his daughters, Ned would gladly weep, but the tears would not come. Even now he was a Stark of Winterfell. His grief and rage froze hard inside him. And I just like that. He's beyond that point now of that, like, where it's just despair on such a level that weeping will do nothing.
I think that's just showing again the help Martin really pushing into it as a Stark trait. Because, that's definitely going to be an inherent one with Arya
these are strong
and
people.
Bran.
They're not going to collapse in on themselves as much as they want to, and they're aware that they could.
As much as Sansa does early on.
Yeah,
maybe
but
she doesn't ever actually
She
collapse
doesn't.
in.
She's
not Jane Poole.
She's terrified in every chapter, but she still goes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want to do this, but I have to, so I'm getting dressed and going.
So I think it definitely shows the power of the Starks.
That's it. Is we get Sansa compared to this sort of strength. This Ned Stark sitting in the red cells alone with a broken leg. Like, this is the worst fucking day I could think of. Is a broken leg, so you're automatically uncomfortable. You're just in pain and fucking.
Well, then it being back then, I'm sure there's infection.
That's it.
It says that it's hot under the cast.
It's hot in King's Landing,
and so you throw that cast on there. It's infected and hot and burning. He's gonna get fevers. And
they don't give a shit about his health down here.
Absolutely
not. But we get that contrasted with Sansa's strength, where Sansa is a prisoner of war and is a hostage, and if she doesn't do what she's told, she's going to be beaten by Joffrey, and so it's this different sort of strength.
Well, we always compare her, unfortunately, to Sansa, or to Arya and Bran and their journeys, but we got to remember that Sansa, she's in the worst possible scenario for her style of character.
Yeah.
I mean, no, technically, because Arya's in place to be her best self in the situations she's in. She's training the way she is.
Live your best life, girl.
Bran is doing the same thing north of the wall, what he's capable of. This is Sansa, this intrigue, this political...
playing at the court.
She's where she should be, and she does great with it. It's not going to be the same style of development.
Well, no, I mean, that's it.
Sansa's...
With Arya, we get training sessions and, these little combat montages and combat quips. Whereas with Sansa,
we get her sitting with the Lady of Thorns,
sitting with Littlefinger
and Cersei,
and
getting these knowledge and bits on how to advance her.
I don't know why that delved into like a Sansa defensive position, but I kind of like it. But we'll move it back to this one. So it said that keeping his leg as still as possible meant less pain, so he tried to sit unmoving. For how long? He had no clue. He slept and woke and slept, all in darkness, and he didn't know which was more painful, the waking or the sleeping. When he slept, he dreamt, dark, disturbing dreams of blood and broken promises. And when he woke, all he could do was think, and his waking thoughts were worse than nightmares. So he thinks of Kat, which stings him. Where was she? What's she doing? Would he ever see her again?
Yeah.
He realizes that it's kind of the end of the line for him here. It ain't looking good for old Eddard Stark under the Red Keep.
Yeah, and he's realizing that for the most part. But then he kind of starts thinking of his men that he sent out and all the different forces.
Yeah.
In particular, Beric Dondarrion, who we've been getting a lot of stuff just in the last few chapters.
Well, he's almost hopeful because he thinks that he thinks of how Alan and Harwin, how they would slay Sir Gregor and return to King's Landing. And Kat would raise the northern men when when word reached her that he was captured, and the Lords of River and Mountain of the Vale would join.
Yeah, he's just, because of where he is, his lack of knowledge is giving him this absolute false hope that he doesn't realize is already all quashed.
Alan and Harwin are already dead. Fucking... the North is already on the march, but the Vale is not joining
refusing.
them.
River runs under siege. it's a shit show out there for all these things he's hoping for. You're
Yeah.
fucked, bro.
It also mentions that at this point he's been beginning to talk aloud just to hear some
Yes.
noise because it's just alone in the dark. He can only hear his breathing. And it says that he starts to think of Robert more and more and more, and seeing the king as he had been in youth, tall and handsome, antlered helm and warhammer in hand, and Ned can hear his laughter in the dark. Look at us, Ned. How did we come to this? You here and me killed by a pig. We won a throne together, gods damn it. And Ned thinks, I failed you, Robert. He thinks it because he couldn't say the words.
Yeah, he starts saying, like, I lied to him. I hid the truth from him. I let them kill you. And so he's referring to all his past discretions there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All the Lyanna and Rhaegar lies, the Jon Snow, as well as keeping Joffrey
And I let
secret.
these lies kill you.
Yeah,
I let
yeah.
this obsession with Lyanna
lead to your
I
hatred
could have
for your
squashed
sister.
that and said that she loved Rhaegar. She
Yeah.
didn't love you at all, ever.
And then you might have had
and
that
then you could
affection
have
towards
moved on,
Cersei.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And so these lies corrupted you and destroyed you as well. Yeah, absolutely. And it said that the king heard him. You stiff-necked fool, he muttered, too proud to listen. Can you eat pride, Stark? Will your honor shield your children? And it says at this point cracks ran down his face, fissures opening in the flesh. He reached up and ripped the mask away, and it was not Robert at all. It was Littlefinger, grinning, mocking. And when he opened his mouth to speak, his lies turned to pale gray moths and took wing.
So obviously we have 100 things right here to go through real fast. The Faceless Men, we'll start there.
The pulling off the
He's
face,
ripping a
switching
face
from
right
one
off
to the other.
and completely changing. I also think that there could potentially be some kind of allusions towards Stoneheart and the
cracked face.
The cracked
looks
face,
almost like a bust of some
ripping
sort.
at the face,
Yeah.
you know.
The fissures.
But
Littlefinger. Behind
yes.
it. Yeah. Behind it all,
Behind it
essentially.
all, yes.
Behind all the games is
Behind the
Littlefinger.
Right.
And then
The moths.
the moss, the pale gray moss that took his lies, essentially. So the colors have become a thing again in this chapter, where we keep getting a lot of dark black darkness.
But here's the lies
But
that are
here's
gray.
the gray lies.
And that's
And
what
Ned
his lies
Stark
have always been, this
lives
whole
in
story.
That gray
Right.
lies.
Because he had that one big lie, and his whole life is based on that the honor system there. And so it's showing that the lies are always a shade of gray. That, you know, the lie always depends.
Oh, excuse me. As far as Ned is concerned, it is.
Right.
Like, with Littlefinger, we know that's not always true. Littlefinger's
Yeah.
self-serving. Ned Stark, he believes that the lie he told was honorable. Keeping it from everybody was the honorable thing to do to protect this innocent child, we assume. So his lie, and Ned Stark himself live in this very gray area. And so I think that's what it's meant to represent. Not so much... I don't think these are meant to represent Littlefinger's lies.
No.
I think they're meant to represent
Yeah.
Ned Stark's
Well,
lies.
that's what I'm
Because
saying.
Littlefinger's would have turned black and decayed.
Right, and that's what I was saying, is that it's showing, because Ned had mentioned his, back in, like, one of the ones where he was meeting with the small council, and he had mentioned that his lie, why is his lie better than other lies?
Yeah.
And
Why is he a better...
And exactly, and we had discussed the different shades of gray at that point, and so his lies, again,
There's 50 of them.
It's...
Sorry.
You're...
I apologize for that. That was trash. That was smut.
That was...
We don't read smut here.
We don't read smut.
Anyway.
Yes, so... The gray moths. I'm going to be on the lookout for moths now, too.
The color scheme really seems significant in this chapter, because he even had, like, the pale gray ghosts that accompanied him in the nightmare and the dream.
So I also immediately thought, because it helps that we did our Theon episode.
Yeah.
There's the Night of the Moths.
Night of the Moths, yeah.
And so...
Lies.
I don't know. That's why I want to look at moths now and see if it's supposed to be the color
together,
gray,
yeah.
or if it's just a one-off type deal, or if it's a continued theme.
Yeah. Well, Ned was half asleep when he hears footsteps down the hall at first, thinking that he's dreaming. And he's feverish at this point. The door creaks open, the light hurts his eyes, and a gaoler shoves a cool gray jug at him, and Ned grabs it and eagerly gulps the water within, drinking until he thinks he may be sick. And he asks how long, saying that the gaoler was a scarecrow of a man with a rat's face and a frayed beard. in a mail shirt and leather half cape. No talking, he says.
And the jug
rips
is
it.
wrenched from him, like the end.
And so Ned asks, please, my daughters, and the door just slams shut, and he curls up. The light gone again. And so it says that he could no longer tell the difference between waking and sleeping. So we're getting a pretty long passage of time here. He's falling deeper and deeper into his fever. Ned Stark is not doing so well.
And the memory came upon him as vivid as a dream, which means he's awake. And he's thinking about this. It's a memory to start. And
he was 18 again, down from the Eyrie to the tourney at Harrenhal. Warm days and cool nights and sweet wine. He remembered Brandon's laughter and Robert's berserk valor in the melee. Jaime Lannister, a golden youth in scaled white armor, kneeling in front of the king's pavilion, making his vows to protect King Aerys. The white bull Gerald Hightower himself fastening the cloak of the king's guard about his shoulders. Yet, when the jousting began, the day belonged to Rhaegar Targaryen. The crown prince wore the armor he would die in, gleaming black plate with the three-headed dragon of his house wrought in rubies on his breast. Brandon fell to him, and Jon Royce, and even splendid Sir Arthur Dayne, the Sword of the Morning. Robert had been jesting with Jon and old Lord Hunter as the prince circled the field after unhorsing Sir Barristan Selmy to claim the champion's crown. Ned remembered the moment when all the smiles died.
Sorry, I'm hearing the rubies on his chest there. I just started having this crazy idea that, like, maybe this is the first time that somebody else is acting as if they're Rhaegar. And that's why they went to Lyanna, and so she knew the truth. And so I'm just tripping out for a minute here, trying to see some weird shit that's probably not making any sense at all. But anyway, my bad, continue. He rode past Elia Martell, I think is where you were at, and went to Lyanna and placed the flowers on her lap.
Yeah, Rhaegar rode his horse past his own wife, the Dornish princess Elia Martell, to lay the Queen of Beauty's laurel in Lyanna's lap, a crown of winter roses, blue as frost.
Yeah.
So this is the catalyst. I mean, like, can we all just fucking agree that R plus Ellie was J is confirmed at this point? Like,
well, unless it's not Rhaegar here at all, and it's somebody
Jesus
that
Christ.
is
okay.
somebody that has glamored
I'm
themselves.
a big fan of the glamour, Rhaegar being glamored theory, but like...
And so who's to say that he wouldn't have been glamored here as well? And that's what's causing the discourse, because he shouldn't be checking out Rhaegar's wife, Elia. He saw Lyanna and was like, yo, I'm not Rhaegar, I want her instead.
Yeah, but as far as we know, their marriage was happy, but Rhaegar wasn't especially
into it. It was
enthralled with Elia.
Fairly arranged.
It was fairly,
like,
standard. He was kind to her. They didn't fight or anything, but yeah. You fucking dick. You got me all out of sorts. This is the catalyst, though, that us, R plus L equal Jers, I guess, if it's not the whole fandom at this point, believe that this is Rhaegar's pronunciation of his affection for Lyanna. This is like shaming and shunning his own wife.
So, also the catalyst for Lemongate theory, where Lemoncloak is actually a member of the King's Guard and all sorts of cool shit. But
there's...
This is the catalyst for the Game of Thrones series.
Yeah, because we also get the Night of the Laughing Tree around this time. This is a whole bunch of shit here. So, the tourney at Harrenhal, it's one of my favorite things. So... yeah, this is essentially Rhaegar saying, fuck my wife, I choose you, you're the most beautiful woman here, with this crown of roses, which of course has to be the blue, stark, frost, cold north.
Which is going to match all the White Walkers'
So it
eyes
says that Ned reaches out to grasp the flowery crown, but beneath the pale blue petals the thorns lay hidden. He felt them clawing at his skin, sharp and cruel, and he saw the slow trickle of blood run down his fingers, and he woke, trembling in the dark.
Yeah.
So...
he had fallen asleep thinking about this memory.
Well, like, do you think that this awakening is significant? Him grabbing at the crown and it stabbing and cutting him? Like, it's... these pale blue roses aren't as safe as they seem type thing? Like, the beauty is masking the danger within? Seems to be the kind of thing. There's more to meet the eye. Like, there's a fucking message here to be deciphered. It's just, what is it? Is it, there's, like, because the crown could be a metaphor for this whole memory of there's more going on here.
Right.
And that's what started cutting and bleeding the realm, was what had the secret things beneath that were happening.
Well, because it's
here.
also going to directly correlate with her death in
Oh,
dying
absolutely.
in a bed
in
of
the
blood
bed
and
of
roses.
And there's even a prophecy later on that's given of Dany sees a chink in the wall and a blue rose growing out through it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Resembling Jon Snow, meant to be Jon Snow and Lyanna at the wall in some form or another. But so yeah, it's just, I was trying to figure out what that could specifically mean, but yeah. So he says to himself, "God save me, I'm going mad," realizing that fuck me, shit's not looking so good. So each time the turnkey had brought him water, Ned had told himself that another day passed. That was how he was trying to mark the days passing. At first, he begged for word of his daughters in the world beyond his cell, but all he got was a kick or a grunt for his troubles.
And eventually it turned into him just begging for food.
But even that went on deaf ears. Yeah. He thinks that if Cersei had wanted him dead, he would have died in the throne room, so she wouldn't want to kill him down here.
Yeah, she's not going to let him starve to death.
She wanted him alive because if he died, Catelyn had Tyrion, and if he died, the imp's life is forfeit.
Yeah,
so again, the lack of knowledge, he doesn't know Tyrion's already.
Exactly.
Not that many people do at this point.
Well, that's it, right.
It was
a surprise to
Tywin just learned, and we actually get more where Varys still thinks he's missing in the mountains.
And she wants him weak and desperate, but alive. And he's constantly croaking out for food, because he heard this time the rattle of the chains as the Gaoler appears.
Yeah.
And
when he croaks out food, the Gaoler just says wine. And this Gaoler was shorter, stouter than the rat-faced one. And he says, "Drink, Lord Eddard." And a wineskin is thrust into his hand.
And he has the same cape and cap, spike cap, as the first Gaoler. And he says, "Drink, Lord Eddard." And
the voice is familiar. It takes Ned a minute to place it, but Varys, he says groggily, "I'm not dreaming, you are here." And he says to himself that Varys had transformed himself into a grizzled turnkey. And he asks him, "What sort of magician are you?" What sort of magician are you?
Now,
it was his youngest daughter, Arya,
who told
him there was a wizard
who's doing
who
magic.
was planning to kill the fucking kid.
Right.
God damn it.
Yeah, the wizard is right here. The one,
a thirsty one.
Because Illyrio had called him a wizard also during that. That's why she...
Yeah, this is why Illyrio referred to him as a wizard, because he can work this kind of magic. He can turnkey himself up and go get information. And
if he wasn't half starved, half dead, fevered, and getting drunk...
Oh, yeah, Ned would put that right there together, I'm sure. No, not at all. Too much credit for him. But... So, yeah, Varys says, "A thirsty one, drink, my lord." And Ned asks him, "Is this the same poison that they gave to Robert?" And Varys says, You wrong me, my lord, sadly. No one loves a eunuch." And he takes the skin and drinks himself and says, "Not the vintage you offered me the night of the tourney, but no more poisonous than most." And so Ned tries a swallow, and
Varys tells Ned that his hour has come.
Yeah, because Ned complains that it's Dregs wine, and Varys says, "All men must swallow the sour with the sweet. High lords and eunuchs alike, my lord, your hour has come." And he asks, "My daughters," and Varys says, "The younger girl has escaped Meereen and fled. I have not been able to find her."
Yeah,
Varys,
which means
the spider himself, has not been able to find her.
And I think the funniest thing is that she used his pathways.
Yeah.
Of course he
doesn't have his little birds down there.
Whoever would have expected little Arya Stark to be taking the Whisperer's paths himself? And so that's great. But yeah, I didn't catch that.
Nor have the Lannisters. So there's some good news for Ned. A kindness there. Our new king loves her not. Your older girl is still betrothed to Joffrey. Cersei keeps her close. She had pleaded at court for you to be spared. You would have been touched. It was so very sweet. And he leans forward and just says,
"I trust you know you are a dead man. I trust you realize," but whatever.
Yeah. Same message.
Fuck.
And Ned says that the queen won't kill me. His head is swimming at this point from the strong wine, and an empty stomach. Cat holds her brother. And Varys answers, "The wrong, brother, and lost to her, sadly. She let the imp slip through her fingers. I expect he is dead by now in the mountains of the moon." And so Ned, realizing that sucks.
Kill me now is
Yeah.
basically, like, he's like, just fucking do it. Just fucking end my life.
Yeah, if that's the truth, then just do it. There's no way I'm making it out of here. And Varys tells him, "Your blood is the last thing I desire." And Ned frowns, mentioning that you just stood by while my men were fucking slaughtered and butchered in front of me.
And that's it. You'd
did
think that,
nothing.
like, after all that's happened, Ned, you can't even put that together. Because Varys replies, and he's like, what the fuck was I supposed to do?
I would do it again if the situation came
like,
up.
I'm
I was
unarmed,
unarmored, and surrounded by Lannister swords. I'm not a fucking warrior. Like, sorry, bruh.
I'm not going to dive out there and be like, ah, like, you know how the game works now.
And he starts to break it down. He says, "When I was a young boy, before I was cut, I traveled with a troop of mummers through the free cities. They taught me that each man has a role to play in life as well as in mummery. So it is at court."
Yes.
And he goes through each one's role, but I really only wrote
Picked
his
up
down.
a nice quote at the end
"The
here.
master of whisperers must be sly and without scruple. A courageous informer would be as useless as a cowardly knight."
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's it. Varys is playing his role. You don't expect the master informer, this spy master,
to be out on the battlefield. Absolutely.
That's ridiculous. And so it says Ned studied the eunuch's face, searching for truth beneath the mummer's scars and false stubble.
And he asks him if he can free him. And Varys says, "I can. But I won't, as it would easily be traced right back to me. I'm the person that they would know has access to be able to pull that kind of thing off."
Ned had expected no more and tells him, you're blunt to say as much. And Varys answers, "A eunuch has no honor. A spider does not enjoy the luxury of scruples, my lord." And so Ned asks if at the very least he'll deliver a message. And this is my favorite Varys line.
It's so good, because there's nothing he can do about it anyway.
"That depends on the message. I will gladly provide you paper and ink. And when you've written what you like, I'll take it and read it and deliver it or not, as best serves my own ends." And
now, I have to say, though, I do think that that's the nicest thing Varys could ever have done for Ned. Because he's basically telling him, like, you can write your wife and kids a heartfelt message. Know that if it has any kind of purpose that can be utilized in any way,
I'm going to use it.
I'll use it however I can.
But if it's just a love letter, I'll get it to him.
Like, that's the kind of thing that doesn't matter. Like, it's not.
If you're trying to be Trixie Devil,
Right.
like, you should just fill me in on your Trixie Devilness at this point.
like-
but if not, then, write a letter to your family, bro. I'll send it out. Sure, why not? Like, and and Varys is being straight up with him and telling him, yes, you can give me a letter. I'm going to read whatever you write, though. Like,
and I'm
straight
going
up.
to use that information that you put in there.
if there's some shocking revelation I don't know, I'm going to use it. Like, and that's just straight up the truth.
Right.
Like,
So Ned asks him,
what ends?
What ends are those of yours?
To what ends, man?
Without hesitation. Peace.
Peace, dude. Peace, man.
He admits he is the one person in King's Landing who truly, truly wanted Robert Baratheon to live.
And we know why.
And we know it's accurate because of the whole conversation that Arya stumbled across.
We know that they needed the Free City, they needed Westeros to hold their shit together while Dany and Viserys work their shit with Drogo to get ready for Phaegon and all this other shit. And so Varys was tasked by Illyrio to prevent the realm from falling into war. Robert's death would do exactly that. And so Varys absolutely is being honest here again. He was probably the only person in King's Landing who truly cared whether Robert lived or died.
So he then asked Ned, and I really liked the way he said this one. He asks, what strange fit of madness led you to tell the queen you knew the truth of Joffrey's birth? What strange fit of madness?
So, before we give Ned's answer, there was other thing he said. He said that, for 15 years I had managed to protect Robert from his enemies, but I could not protect him from his friends. Which essentially is him blaming Ned.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you came in here and you did this.
Oh,
you
and
told Cersei.
Yeah.
Because then he asks him, what led you to tell the queen? What madness?
Yeah, and he'll go into it further.
And that's
as well.
essentially him saying, like, why the fuck did you do that? Like, that's what killed Robert. And Ned admits the madness of mercy. Of mercy. Patreon. Because we know that there is someone else who very much so believes that mercy
is not a madness.
But a gift. And so Varys says, you are an honest and honorable man, Lord Eddard. I oft forget that. I have met so few in my life. And Varys looks around the cell and says, seeing what honesty and honor get you, I understand why.
Yeah.
And so Ned leans back, his legs throbbing, and the king, the wine's fucking with him, and he says, the king's wine, did you question Lancel Lannister? And Varys says, oh, indeed. Cersei gave him the wineskin, saying it was a favorite, saying it was Robert's favorite vintage. If not the boar, basically, and if not the boar got him, something else.
If it wasn't the wine, if it wasn't the boar, they're in the woods on a hunt. Whether it was a stray arrow or a fall off a cliff.
The forest is the abattoir of the gods, which essentially is the conduit of the god. And with just the animals that they've been hunting, and the fact that the white lion Ozymandias in the Dany episode was like a messenger of the gods.
They were out for the white hart.
In these woods, saying that the forest is sort of this messenger of the gods type thing, which just seems significant to me.
And so he finally says, it was not wine that killed the king, it was your mercy. And so again, driving that knife in, staying. You killed your friend. You did.
Ned had feared as much. Gods, forgive me.
And again, Varys has just some of the best lines here, because I really like how he, not that he necessarily believes in the gods, although he heard some whisperings in the fire, he might believe in something.
He fears something.
He says, if there are gods, they will.
I expect they will. He doesn't know the gods.
Well, I mean,
if there are gods, I expect they will. The queen wouldn't have waited long anyway to kill Robert. He had become increasingly unruly, and she had needed to get rid of him to deal with his brothers in order for Joffrey to ascend the throne. Quite the pair, Stannis and Renly, the iron gauntlet and the silk glove. You have been foolish, my lord. You should have heeded Littlefinger when he told you to support Joffrey's succession.
Which, now, if we can recall, was a private conversation between Littlefinger and Ned.
How could you know of that?
And because that's what Ned says. What? What?
WT fuck, bro.
Yeah, basically, if you've seen the show, when Bran says to Littlefinger, chaos is a ladder, that's the look that's on Ned's face right here.
Yeah, he's done ski.
Hold up, wait, what?
And Varys, being all mysterious, just smiles and says, I know, that's all that need concern you. I also know that the queen will be visiting you on the morrow. And Ned asks, what for? And so Varys kind of breaks it down here, what's happening outside the realm. He says, Cersei is frightened of you, my lord, but she has other enemies she fears more. Jaime is currently fighting the River Lords, even now. Lysa Arryn sits atop the Eyrie, and in Dorne the Martells still brood on the murder of Princess Elia and her babes. Now your son marches south with a northern host. Down the neck.
Robbie boy!
Robb is only a boy, Ned says aghast. And Varys says, a boy with an army.
I wrote down aghast because I just really like how he's just so taken aback by it.
I'm shocked he didn't see Robb calling the banner. He knows Roderick. He knows Lewin.
Well, and he told Catelyn to call the banner.
That's it.
Who else is going to lead
Catelyn's not going to ride at the head of this host. She can't, because of the gender roles in this society. So, I don't know why that came as such a shock to him, but... Yeah, he says it's the king's brothers that are the ones giving Cersei sleepless nights.
Especially Stannis the Manus.
His claim is true, and he is known for his battle prowess, and he is utterly without mercy. This is the third time mercy has been brought up in this chapter.
Yes.
The word is being drilled into our head with Ned Stark and mercy and fuck.
And his death coming. So he says that Cersei's worried that Stannis is going to land on the shores of King's Landing while Tywin and Jaime are distracted by the Riverlands and everything up north, and just claim the throne, lop off Joffrey's head, post it out in front on the gates, and then Cersei's as well. And then he says, though, I truly believe she cares more about the boy.
Yeah. Which is astute as fuck.
the fact that I think that's an incredibly important thing to be noticing this early on, because we don't get Cersei point of view chapters for a bit. And that is her driving focus, is her children. Yeah. And the fact that we get from, and it's, again, we don't know that we should be trusting Varys. We don't know that we should be taking anything he says as accurate or true, but usually, in my opinion, a lot of what Varys says is the most true.
That's bullshit. We are full spoiler reread at this point. Up to Dance of the Dragon, I trust Varys. Like, I don't think he's fully revealed, because I have said it before. I believe the Fagon thing. Like, I think he may be a Blackfire, or Illyrio may be a Blackfire, and are attempting to put that son back on the throne. But like, I don't think he's entirely truthful, but I think
the information he's giving,
I think it's just he's someone who's backing another player, and he's just sort of presenting it as peace for the realm because of this one ruler that I've chosen. So,
exactly.
Like, I trust him in what he's saying, and that I trust people in this story to be self-serving for their own ends. So all this stuff that he's feeding Ned Stark is no longer a threat. Ned Stark has been removed from the board. He has no sway, no power. The best he can hope for is to be freed from this by his son and River Run joining forward. But that's not going to happen. There's no way currently that that's going to happen soon, before he dies of infection or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, the only other thing would be him being freed by these people, which isn't going to fucking happen. So the wall. And then he'll have no power there. So, Varys doesn't mind kind of telling him the truth and laying it out.
I just thought that it was incredibly interesting that from that character, that we do take so much stock in what he says. I truly believe she cares more about her son than herself. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, again, we are told this early on.
Yeah, that's driving forward. That's her motive, yeah. He also, just one last note on Stannis, says that there is no creature half so terrifying as a truly just man, which Stannis is.
Yeah.
So it says that Stannis is the true heir, and I would welcome his ascent, Ned replies. And Varys tisks.
That is not what Cersei wants to hear tomorrow.
Stannis may win, but only your head will remain if you don't guard that tongue of yours, Lord Stark. And Sansa begged so sweetly. Cersei is no fool. She knows that a tame wolf is more use than a dead one. And Ned kind of goes off here, saying, you ask me to serve the woman who murdered my king, butchered my men, and crippled my son? And then Varys kind of gives it right back.
You would be serving the realm.
I want you to serve the realm. Confess to your vile treason. Tell your son to lay down his sword and proclaim Joffrey as heir. Denounce Stannis and Renly as traitors, and promise to take her secret to your grave. You'll be allowed to take the black and live out your days at the wall with your bastard son and brother. And
the
thought of Jon
filled Ned with a sense of shame and a sorrow too deep for words. If only he could see the boy again, sit and talk with him. Pain shoots through his leg immediately.
Can we... Alright. Because this Jon moment gives him such pause, but he literally has been thinking about Lyanna and Rhaegar.
Yeah.
It's only at this point where it's Jon specifically who comes up in his head, and then he's filled with the shame over that. Because normally it's just the lie, it's the promise me, Ned. That's normally how he just kind of compartmentalizes all of it, is it's the promise me, Ned, that encompasses his feelings about Rhaegar and Lyanna and Robert and fucking Jon Snow and all that shit. And so the fact that
he pauses with the shame and sorrow.
Yeah.
And so obviously holding the secret, keeping it a secret, this specific secret is the shame. The sorrow, I think, is purely I have to tell him that his parents are both dead.
Yeah.
And that his parents and him specifically are the cause for all this war that occurred.
Well, I think it's almost more of your parents were good people. They died because they loved each other, and they wanted you to live. That's why they kept it a secret. And I think that's the weight of it. Is how, because Ned knows Jon, and he knows Jon would take on the weight of Robert's rebellion and pull it onto it. And so I think that's what Ned is worried about, is it's going to destroy this kid.
They died and caused all this.
With all the lies that Jon has been fed, like, about what actually happened, Rhaegar raping Lyanna and all that, like, yeah, it essentially would be, Robert's rebellion happened because of you. And so, sucks to suck. But you're a Targaryen, technically. Finger guns. And so, it's a shitty situation, but it's just interesting that it's mainly his thoughts about Lyanna and Robert and Rhaegar's relationship up until he mentions going to the Wall himself. And then he's like, oh, yeah, Jon's up there. Fuck. I'd have to talk to that little fucker and explain some shit.
Yeah, and I do like that then he has the physical affirmation of the pain shooting through his leg as well. Almost like it's this painful twinge. Fucking a reminder.
So he asks Varys, is this your scheme, or are you in league with Littlefinger?
He thinks that's fucking hysterical. Which, again, now we're going to get some discreditation towards Littlefinger from one of Ned's early chapters.
I have a lot to say about this. So Varys, it says that seems to amuse Varys, and he says that he would rather marry some fucking shitty lord. But he says Littlefinger is the second most devious man in the kingdoms. I feed him just enough to make him think that I am his, just as I do with Queen Cersei. I don't think if Littlefinger ever thinks Varys is his.
No, I think because
that sounds blundery to me.
That's Ned. Because he said, and Varys, Littlefinger, I don't think it's
So is it Varys trying to distance himself between Littlefinger being a cunt to Ned and Varys being here,
So I think
whereas Varys is probably aware that Littlefinger is going to betray Ned with the gold cloak. So he's like, nah, Littlefinger kind of, I keep him at arm's length because I deal with him when I can.
Well, because Littlefinger told Cat that he has Varys by the balls.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, essentially
this back and forth with them.
I think it's more so Varys saying, I let Littlefinger think that. That's how I want our relationship to be.
Yeah.
He thinks that I serve him. And so Littlefinger believes every word that comes from Varys. And he doesn't realize that there's stuff that he's withholding from him. Littlefinger thinks he's on top.
I think it's more of equal footing on the reverse, where they both are not arrogant, but they both think they kind of have a little more information than the other guy. So because they both have said this at this point. Varys is mine, Littlefinger is mine. And so I think they both are thinking that they have the upper hand.
I think that,
but they're both kind of equal as far as their knowledge.
I think Varys has way more knowledge.
I think you're right about the wider machinations, but Littlefinger is pulling these straight,
I think he's got more information on his own schemes.
Do you think Varys knows Lysa Arryn? He doesn't know that Lysa Arryn killed Jon Arryn. He doesn't know about that. So that's what I mean, is Littlefinger's got more of the centralized...
For his specific schemes, though.
For what Littlefinger's doing.
Whereas
Varys is tied
Varys
more
has
into
Cersei's information, Pycelle's information, Littlefinger, what Littlefinger's given him, but more than Littlefinger thinks he has. And the kings, and he has all of them, whereas Littlefinger has what Varys has given him about Cersei, plus his own stuff that he's got about Cersei, but not nearly as much as Varys.
Well, how do we know that? How do we?
It's all speculation, but Varys has the little birds working for him. Varys has hired spies. The children are a different. But Littlefinger
ruthlessly pays people and then kills his informant. So it's and that's the whole point of these two, I think, is to be this see who's climbing higher. But Littlefinger goes about it so differently that I think it's kind of it's just dumb to assume that Varys has more in there, because again, I think Varys is self-serving. I think he wants to promote the Blackfyre family more than anything. Yeah. And so while he plays it off like, I'm so tied in, I want peace for the world, man. I want peace under the peace that I decide is right. Littlefinger wants that, just in a more villainous way. Where he's more blatant about, I want to rule everything.
It's not to say that Varys is good.
And so I think it's Varys thinks he's more connected and tied in, but they probably are on the equal footing of
I still don't think so.
Having fingers in the pie.
I feel like just with the little birds, they have, and Varys has knowledge of the workings of the city, where it is, how it works, where the paths are, the secret tunnels. Littlefinger has his brothels. He knows the thing or two.
He doesn't need the paths.
Well,
his information is brought
and
to him.
He does know some, but Varys doesn't need the paths either, because he has all the birds bringing his information.
Yeah, but he uses I got to assume that it's not just little birds like going out.
Well, not to mention,
but like
all
he
his...
hides them in the past, where it's you stay here by this room because you can hear and hear.
Definitely.
Write down everything
he has
you
his
hear.
plants and everything. I just feel like he has, and again, it's all just what I think, because we don't actually know. And that's what I think is fun about it, is they probably are on similar footing. I feel like Varys has a wider network, and so he tends to have more knowledge. Again, you're correct. I think that Littlefinger has those specifics. I'm making these and pulling these strings to get myself further and higher and better.
Yo, I don't know about like the network, because he's the master of coin. Like he's got motherfuckers in the free cities that he's talking to, the Iron Bank.
Illyria,
like,
so does Varys.
I mean, I know, but like Varys again he's focused on like Dany. Like he's not. I highly doubt that Varys has motherfucker. Like, yeah, he's getting like notes and stuff.
He's on Dany now, but he was also with Aerys. He's been around a lot longer than Littlefinger.
Listeners, I would like to know what you guys like. Who has the better network at this point in the story? Is Varys more tied into what's actually fucking happening in the world,
or is Littlefinger pulling those strings
a little bit more? Like, who has who by the balls in all actuality? Because they've both made this claim. So who and I think that's the whole point of it, is I don't think either of them are ahead. Like, as far as collective knowledge, he might know one little snippet about a person that he doesn't know,
but then he has one that he doesn't. Right.
Littlefinger could know that Tyrion left the Eyrie. Littlefinger probably does know that Tyrion left the Eyrie. In all fucking actuality, Lysa probably wrote him immediately.
Probably.
And so, like, Littlefinger's probably the only person in the realms that knows Tyrion Lannister, like, might be around. Like, just in an example specification, whereas Varys doesn't know that. And, like, that's the up that they think they have on the other guy. But they also know something else. So it's this constant who knows more. We just went on a whole spiel about that.
Yeah, that was pretty heavy.
Let us know what you guys think.
Sorry about that. We'll get back on.
I love those two and their little game and their fucking amusingness. So,
yeah.
Anyway, let me find my place in my notes.
Ned finally asks, who do you truly serve?
Who do you, cut the games, man.
And so Varys tells him, why the realm, of course. However could you doubt that? And he asks Ned for his word that you will tell Cersei what she needs to hear. He's still trying to stop war. That's what his game is.
I serve the realm, and the realm needs peace. So, again, the peace that he needs to buy time till his plan can kick into action. But, yeah, so he says, tell me that you're going to tell Cersei what she wants to hear when she comes. And Ned says, and if I did give you my word, it would be as hollow as an empty suit of armor. My life is not so precious to me as that. And Varys says, pity. What about your daughter's life, my lord? How precious is that to you? And it says, a chill pierced Ned's heart. Surely you didn't think I had forgotten your daughter. The queen certainly hasn't. And Ned just starts to loot. Varys, please, gods have mercy. Do as you like with me, but leave my daughter out of your schemes. She's no more than a child.
And I can't believe he fucking just pulls this out. You got as you hit it.
I don't care. I'm excited. I hit the mic.
All right, read it.
Oh, I wasn't gonna read the whole thing, but
I don't have it. So
this is supporting one of my favorite theories. Rhaegar's daughter, Rhaenys, was a child too. Precious little thing. Younger than your girls. She had a small black kitten named Balerion. I always wondered what happened to him. Rhaenys pretended he was the true Balerion, the Black Dread. But I imagine the Lannisters taught her the difference quick enough between a kitten and a dragon when they broke down her door. And Varys sighed. The sigh of a man who carried all the sadness of the world in a sack on his shoulders. Why is it that the innocents are the ones who suffer most when you high lords play your Game of Thrones? So, this right here, to me, explains his motives. All of Varys' motives.
He's a pissed off small folk.
He's a pissed off... I don't think it's just small folk. Like, it's... and this is the interesting one. This one kind of just goes against the Blackfire one. This is where if Aegon is Aegon true.
Right.
Like, it's the children. Like, he's remembering this sweet, innocent little girl who used to play with a kitten. Like, she died because she had the name Targaryen. Like, that was it.
End.
Like, she named this fucking little tiny kitten after a terrible, terrible beast of a dragon, and it was fucking adorable. And then she was killed because the High Lords were playing their Game of Thrones. Like, it's just that right there. Varys is like the innocence.
He's using that to drive home the Sansa things.
Whatever his end game is, Varys wants the innocents to stop dying, whether that's under a king he chooses or whatever else his end game might be.
Yeah, he wants innocents to stop being brutally murdered for no reason.
So he tells him, ponder it while you wait for the queen. And this, the next visitor could bring you bread and cheese and milk of the poppy, or they could bring you Sansa's head.
The choice, my lord, hand, is entirely yours.
And that's the end of Ned's last chapter in A Game of Thrones. So, yeah, Varys is essentially saying, give them what they want, or they're probably going to kill your daughter, and you can just, maybe live, maybe. And this is also where this is setting up the shock and awe for Joffrey.
Because if Varys, who we just ranted about how truthful and trustworthy he is, potentially, if he's saying, I feel like you will be sent to the wall.
The ultimate political maneuverist, here.
Now, that's not to say, also, Cersei thinks that he's going to be going to the wall.
Yeah.
She had planned on, if he gave the confession, gave his word, the Honorable Ned Stark, she would have probably allowed that. They were going to. They were going to allow that. And then Joffrey fucking jumps right in.
Yeah, Joffrey is the petulant child. So you got an inductee?
Yeah, yes, I do. I was gonna give it to 2. I'll give it to just the one. It's going to Stannis because we haven't seen this motherfucker yet. We don't know who Stannis is besides being the king's brother. That's all we've got so far. Cersei is terrified of this motherfucker. Ned, Honorable Ned Stark, the protagonist that we've been rooting for since chapter 4 or whatever, when he gets his first chapter. He wrote asking this guy for help. Like, who the fuck is this imposing son of... Fuck yeah, man. Yeah. Stannis the man is the one true king. Inducted for sure, no problems. I was thinking about bringing in the Silk Glove also, just because he's also worrying, because he, and as funny as it is to think about Renly sitting the throne, and I've made the arguments for it in an attempt to, it doesn't work.
There is no argument for it.
He's still down in Highgarden, who are a major house and capable of raising some serious forces and taking some shit out.
Fuck yeah.
So, do you have a...
Yeah, mine's going to Littlefinger.
Little one.
Because he's not even in this chapter, but he's in this chapter a lot.
He's in this a lot.
And his presence in Ned's thoughts. And that's just kind of what I like. Is just in a few short months here in King's Landing, Littlefinger has basically attributed himself to the level of, the Rhaegar Lyanna thing, where, when Ned is having these fever dreams, Littlefinger is now
also in there.
Thrown in there among them, just in his lies and these... And the fact that Littlefinger seems to, for Ned Stark, represent the epitome of the lie, where it was Littlefinger's face that, the way I viewed it, Ned's pale moth lies were coming out of his mouth. So Littlefinger is the catalyst of all lies.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So, Littlefinger for that fucking overwhelming presence. And then obviously the spiel we went on about the 2 power. But as we said, our correspondents for the week had some inductees of their own for this chapter.
Right, so starting with Julian, again, from France. He, for Ned 15, inducts King Robert. He is very present in Ned's dream as a memory of the great warrior he was 15 years ago, and as a memory of the best friend Ned has always had. I'd love to read more George R.R. Martin's words about the Robert of the Rebellion. I absolutely agree with you. He also said Valar, whatever you like, Valar Dohaeris, Valar Morghulis, whichever one. Daenerys, Jaehaerys, Jaehaerys, and all, whatever. P.S. Never told you, but we'll definitely keep up the impressions.
Oh, yeah, you shouldn't have told us that. That
Yeah,
was bad, because we have so much fun with doing it, and we
Yeah.
thought they were getting annoying, but the fact that even one person out there likes it...
The rest of you are putting up with them again.
We are
Sorry.
not pleased. Well, we are pleased.
Very
but...
pleased. Thank you for writing in, Julie, and we look forward to all of your inductees. I think, actually, you've already sent in yours for our next chapter we're recording, so we are all set there on that one. Let's move on to the other inductees.
Yeah, so the Not So Silent Sisters.
Woo-hoo.
Beforehand, they also mentioned the colors, the gray that popped up a lot, and they mentioned the other color that accompanied him, the red, the blood red.
Yeah.
And then, just because we actually didn't touch on it, and I meant to, they mentioned Rhaenys' kitten, Balerion.
I didn't want to get too much into it.
And about what happened to him, and they say that Arya's been chasing him around the keep. That's what. And
so we had actually touched on it with the sisters back in Arya when she was chasing him, and we mentioned that we'll bring it up also again during the chapters in Feast, or whichever one where Tommen's playing with Balerion.
Yeah.
Or not playing with, but commenting on. Balerion's a fucking badass.
Yeah, essentially, it's thought that this is the same cat. This is Rhaenys' kitten, the mean old tomcat that's been around King's Landing for fucking ever, because it's the mean one.
And Nate's a sucker for kitties,
and
so
it's it's just great. And they mentioned that they think Varys is very much aware that Balerion is still skulking about the castle.
Oh, absolutely.
And so for this chapter, Unscepter Brandy will be inducting her arguably favorite character, Lord Varys.
Yeah.
He's enigmatic and elusive and impossible to read. I'm really glad that I inducted Littlefinger
that's cool.
Because Varys was my other choice and I couldn't decide which one. Is it truly peace he seeks? That is the question. He asserts his decisions are based on what best serves his own ends. So what does peace mean to him? You just said it so much fucking better than I've been trying
25
to
minutes.
for an hour and 1 minute at this point. So thank you so much for that, Brandy. You are an honest and honorable man, Lord Eddard. Oftentimes I forget that. I have met so few of them in my life. When I see what honesty and honor have won you, I understand why. It was not wine that killed the king, it was your mercy. Just slinging spider bombs left and right.
I am absolutely ecstatic that you came out with spider bombs.
So we're gonna break it down real quick. Lost, one of my favorite television shows ever. Since I have watched that show, I have had a thing called Lock Bombs, which is the character in it, John Locke, likes to walk around and just drop some fucking knowledge on people, and it's the best moments of the show. And they were lock bombs. And so since that moment, it's been a thing with us that whenever someone comes in and just fucking hits someone with a mic drop,
it's a lock
bomb. It's a lock bomb.
Now, early on when we were recording some of our first episodes for the first chapters of this and met Varys the first time or two, after the episode, we had actually sat there and said, we need to think of something.
Varys bombs is too mouthy.
Varys bombs doesn't work.
You can't do it.
You just fucking...
Spider bombs.
Spider bombs.
Spider bombs. So that will be the new thing when Varys comes in. Especially at the end of Dance. I'm probably, just for that hour, going to be screaming for the epilogue chapter of Dance. Just Spider bomb, Spider bomb, Spider bomb.
That's going to be great.
So... Thank you so much, Unscepter Brandy. We always appreciate your guys' emails. As always, they always say, all men must die, but we are not men. So, Julian, Silent Sisters, thank you guys so much for writing in. Those were our thoughts, their thoughts, and opinions on Eddard 15.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to be reading Catelyn 9. And that's going to be an interesting one, meeting Lord Walder Frey.
Lord Frey.
And we're just... Ned Stark doesn't have much time, ladies and gentlemen, and so we're getting to the wrapping up of a book 1 of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, it's coming close.
So, actually, as we do approach the end, we're planning it out. We're starting to block some things out. There might be a slight hiatus between books, but not too much. We're thinking maybe 2 weeks at most without an episode, but that's mainly just so we can backlog some episodes. So... definitely start thinking about some inductees for then, because we will still obviously want all your inductees that you can send.
Yeah.
And so as we get closer, there's still plenty of chapters left in Game of Thrones right now.
And that's just pre-planning.
Yeah,
We're
just
not
planning,
sure
just throwing that out
yet,
there.
but
We're not sure how long of a break or what. We just want to be able to have a backlog of some note-taking that we're able to do so we can catch up.
But that's not for another few months yet still. Anyway,
we'll shoot you another warning.
In the meantime, hit us up. We can be reached through email, withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter @mannerswithout.
Carstark92.
Zach is on Twitter @carstark92. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/brotherhoodpodcast. And the Instagram is the same as Nate's Twitter @mannerswithout. Lastly, we have our Patreon, patreon.com/withoutmanners. Let us know what you guys think or what you want to hear and what your inductees are. All the usual stuff we ask for. Leave us a rate and review. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We were using the app Podcoin for a bit there, but they're not going to. It was a test app. So if you were listening there, please don't stop listening. Go find us. We're on all those places, Castbox and Breaker and you name it.
You're
we're there.
Rambling like a motherfucker. So not to date this episode, but at the time of this recording, Borderlands 3 has just come out, and there's been some fun Game of Thrones Easter eggs in there.
Yeah,
some sweet skins referencing Game of Thrones. And
not to mention the prequel trailer for one of the new prequels announcing all that shit. The Age of Heroes.
The Valerians.
Valerian, right. The Fire and Blood stuff.
Yes.
So it's looking great. It's cool.
Something else for people to bitch about all the time, and
whatever.
I love it. So remember, kids, Rhaegar the Cool says don't do drugs.
Valor de Harris.
Peace.